Good afternoon, YouTube. This is Man on the Radio George Page coming to you live on YouTube. Well, I just saw this a while ago. I was on IG. I saw it on my brother's Combo Breaker IG page, and he posted this, and I should have really caught this. And this is the birthday of a legend. This man is the greatest of all time, and it's just you just can't think. He really was one of the first athletes to transcend sports, to go beyond just boxing, into to be political and also to be fighting a disease at the time. This is one Muhammad Ali, better known as Cassius Marcellus Clay Jr. Now, if any of you know about Muhammad Ali, I don't have to tell you too much, but there's some things you may not know also. But anyway, this man's a legend, and he's just one of the greatest. And it's gonna be about 5 years since his passing. He died from complications from Parkinson's. But like I said, I'm gonna give you a little story about this man, this gentleman, this legend, and you know, it's just so great about him. Now he was born, as I said again, um, Cassius Marcellus Clay Jr., January 17th, 1942, in Louisville, Kentucky. And Cassius was he was a young kid. He was very strong, outspoken. And then he as a kid he had a bike, and he was riding his bike and he left it near a gym, and his bike went missing. He was angry. He was mad. So and he wanted to fight. Just so he can learn. He joined the gym so he can learn to fight. But he pretty much they tamed his personality a little bit. He's became a pretty good fighter as a young boy. Now, when he got older, he got to a level where he joined the Olympics, and he won a gold medal in 1960. But one day he came back home, and he just how even him going to overseas and fighting in the Olympics for his country, he still dealing with prejudice and racism. So he threw his gold medal into the I think it was the Mississippi River. Was it Louisville River, Mississippi River? It's just if you ever find that gold medal, that's a piece of memorabilia. You should keep it. Anyway, after he was around about his 20s, he turned pro, and he started fighting. And in '64, he fought the champion, Sonny Liston, and then he won the heavyweight title. And then he got the reputation, they call him the Louisville Lip, because he was very loud and outspoken. Now, after the win the title against Liston, he went on and represented. And a few years later, I think a couple years later, he fought Liston again, and this time he just knocked Liston out. The first fight, Liston quit, and in the second fight, he knocked Liston out. And he decided to become a Muslim, and then he changed his name to Muhammad Ali. But he's been very political. He's been very about politics. And he's been very just telling the truth to how black people are treated in this country. And he had friendships with Malcolm X, and even he believed in some of the stuff that Dr. Martin Luther King believed, but he always decided on him. And I remember years ago, he was the United States government wanted to draft him, but he made that famous quote, "No Viet Cong called him boy," and that was around about I think 65, 66. And there was a correlation of several black athletes that came together, and they stood beside Ali. Now, and this is just great. You see guys like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He converted to Muslim. You see Jim Brown. You see I think that's I think is that Bill Robinson. I can't remember who that is, but several of these guys, I think a lot of you will recognize them. But then after '71, his conviction was overturned, and he was allowed to fight. And he got back into it. One of his greatest fights of all was this fight with Joe Frazier, and that fight was legendary. They had the three fights. The first fight where Ali lost, and the second fight, and the fight in the Battle of Manila. And then there was his war in Africa with Foreman, who beat Frazier for the title just months after, you know, Frazier beat Ali. And then you forget the ones like with Ken Norton and Leon Spinks. Now, after the 80s, he retired from boxing, and then, he was having difficulty. Parkinson's was starting to set in. But in around 96, he was able to carry the Olympic torch in Atlanta. And that same year, the Olympic committee gave him a gold medal, replacing the one he got rid of. He was inspiration for several boxers over the years, such as Mike Tyson, Sugar Ray Leonard. One thing is, him and Sugar Ray Leonard was trained by the same trainer that was Angelo Dundee. And Leonard was called a little Ali. And also guys like Floyd Mayweather. There's several boxers. Dante Wilder, the brown bomber. He in some ways he's kind of like Ali. He's from the South like Ali. And he really supports black people. And then outside of the sport, he inspired people like actors and fighters like Bruce Lee, Sylvester Stallone, even the Beatles came to meet him many years ago. But as you know, he was dealing with Parkinson's, and it's that disease that really takes away so much from you. You lose your voice, you lose your reflexes. I remember you saw an episode where he was on an interview with Ed Bradley for 60 Minutes, and he went to Cuba, and before he went to Cuba, he was punching his bag, and he was just hitting it like it looked like he still had it, but then he stopped and he had the shakes. And he inspired people with the disease Parkinson's, such as Michael J. Fox and many others who were suffering disease. He was one of the spokesmen for the disease. But like I say, he was not just a boxer, an activist, a philanthropist, a legend. He was a loving father. He's been married at least 3 times. He had at least about I think seven children, seven to 8 kids. And one of his kids is his youngest daughter from his third wife, Leila Ali, followed the footsteps. But like I said, it's just not the same compared to her father. So I'm sorry about that, but that's true. But anyway, he was the greatest. He was amazing. He was a great man, and still, even though he's been gone almost 5 years, this is no one be like him. Like I said, like I said before, he transcended sports. He just from sports to entertainment, to fighting with disease like Parkinson's. I mean, he was just amazing. And as a kid, I used to like to watch his fights. I used to like that when he comes out there and his talk like, like how pretty he was. Like, fight like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. That's just classic. And his friendships over the years, like many people like Howard Cosell and all that, and people who just respected him. I mean, he was just a legend. I mean, and, it's just the sad thing. As a while ago, I was on a live stream, my man Coach Chet Harrison, we talked about how boxing is just how it's fallen off over the years, and people like Ali, they were the ones who made the sport. He and so many others like him, just made it just a great sport from what it is today. So I want to say happy birthday and rest in power to the greatest, the Louisville Lip, one Mr. Muhammad Ali. Bless you, sir. We miss you. This is your man, Always George Page. Don't subscribe. I'm out.